Hey everyone, welcome to Sweetcast. This is Clint, and I finally have done it. I had this conversation with my wife about I need to start doing something to monetize this channel. I've been doing it for 4 months now and spending a lot of time and effort on it, and a lot of time and effort on the comic, and it's just been because I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. However, it does take a lot of time. So I finally got accepted by Subscribestar. They approved me to be able to open an account there. I didn't want to do Patreon because they were questionable. I know there's no perfect solution, but right now I've got nothing. So I've got a Subscribestar account now. And yeah, and I'm going to be putting stuff there for Downcast, which is my comic, if you're not familiar with it, that I'm writing. And so all this will be in the description below, links to it. So that'll be great. If you could, and you want to subscribe and help support the channel and help support me making comics, it would make my wife happy as well. Then I'm spending less of our money on paying for art. Then that would be amazing. So thank you. But what I really wanted to talk about here was pricing on comics. Now, this has been something people have been talking about for a long time now, and prices are only going up. But you're also wrestling with just the basic economics of how do you pay for good art and how good quality, and at the same time make it affordable. And these things are conflicting. And I think, to me, the obvious answer is Marvel should be, or not just Marvel, DC, all comic publishers should be targeting at least some of their books for new readers, stuff that might appeal to somebody that would be willing to pay like $2 maybe or less to try out a comic book to hopefully pull new readers in. Because the more readers you have, then you can sell more comics, and then obviously the price can be lower because you're selling more volume of comics. It just doesn't feel like they're doing anything to pull in new readers. They're just surviving off of their current market, which is shrinking. But that's a whole other issue. So here's an article from Bleeding Cool. Marvel's Kelly Thompson says recent $8 X-Men comics are a good value per page, but are they? That's a great question. Now, first off, I just want to say I'm glad that Bleeding Cool is at least attempting to challenge something that's coming from the industry, because usually they're just licking boots. But I don't know. We'll get into the article and see if that holds true. Kelly Thompson is the writer of the excellent, licking boots, I guess. Here we go again. The excellent Mr. and Miss X, co-writer of the first 10 issues of the recent Uncanny X-Men relaunch, and writer of West Coast Avengers and Captain Marvel at Marvel Comics. She's also proven to be devoted to her fans, at least some of them, on Twitter, diligently interacting. Okay, that's great. She's interacting. So here she is. Here's a consumer. I have no idea who this person is, if they're Comicsgate or if they're... I'm going to just assume that Ronald here is just somebody that is buying comics. They're just a normal person that's going to say the regular thing. Dear Disney, Marvel, Ed Brisson, Ashcan Press... And then Kelly Thompson. I don't like doing this, but I feel I must. $8 for a weekly book is outrageous. I take nothing from the creators and the work they are doing, but please explain how you justify this increase. Okay, so Kelly Thompson is the one that responds. Now, I want to say something. Something like this is a business decision. This shouldn't be something that Kelly Thompson is responding to. Like, she could. That's for sure. She could. This is something, especially where they're at Disney, at Marvel. Marvel should be responding to this. They should have business people that are responding to this, not creative people. So Kelly's response: Uncanny #1 was $8 for 60 pages of content, which is actually a reduction in price per page. All the other issues except number 10, which was $5 for 30 pages of content, which is too much, were the regular price. Matt's UXM 11 is similarly $8 for 60 pages of content. Again, a good value per page. Okay, so now we're going per page. The problem with this, and I understand, like, I'm preparing my Kickstarter. I'm preparing my Indiegogo campaign and looking at some of the numbers, page count, prices, what it takes. The thing is, we're not talking about a small independent creative team that's publishing this themselves and they're not getting the bulk discounts for printing. We're talking about Marvel Comics. They can get cheap printing. They can. We know they can. So I think it's less about per pages. But all of this, again, that's looking at it from the wrong perspective. Because if you're a consumer, you don't think of it that way, right? Everybody you talk to, they're going to talk about spending their money and how much value, how much entertainment value they're going to get from that purchase. So first off is buying that comic, how long is it going to take them to read that? Personally, I'm kind of a slow reader. I've always been kind of a slow reader. It might take me, we'll say half an hour. Okay, I don't really know. I haven't timed myself, but that's kind of a long time, I think. Yeah, for most people, they're just going to devour it and get through it, and then that's $8 that, maybe lasted them 20 minutes. Well, let's even say maybe it's an hour. Okay, $8. You bought an hour worth of entertainment. That's it. So you're gonna bag it and board it, and put it in your long box and stick it away, and that's it. So it's valued for $8, and you might have, again, this is another way I look at it. You're going to have that value of that comic. Maybe it's worth, like the monetary value, it's worth $8. If it stays being worth $8 down the road, that's fine. If it goes up in value, which I highly doubt it's going to, those are other factors I would put into from a consumer's mindset on, is it worth it? Now, if the story's fantastic and the art's fantastic and you love the cover, and maybe, I do this. Some of the comic books that I just really love the covers for, I like to frame them and hang them up just so I can look at them because they're cool. So there's all sorts of ways to measure value. I don't think that most consumers are looking at page count, especially when you're just talking about a floppy. They don't really consider that so much. Okay, so the article continues. What Thompson claims is mathematically correct. Wow, I can't read today. 60 pages of story for $8 works out to 13 cents per page, while regular issues containing 20 pages of story for $4 works out to 20 cents per page. Okay, so you would expect, though, to get, I guess, an even better deal. The problem is that you're starting off with something that's such not a good deal, that making something a slightly better deal that's bigger, asking you to pay more, it still doesn't really make sense. That this doesn't translate to consumers. Whether either is truly a quote-unquote good value is more subjective. That's right, to the consumer. And I can guarantee you most consumers, they're valuing their idea of value is very different than the ideal of value that Marvel has, or Marvel creators have. So I don't want to read through this whole article because you're welcome to do it yourself, but it did get me thinking, like for value reasons. Okay, for me personally, if I buy very few single issues now. When I buy comics, I usually am buying graphic novels because of value. That's why. I love singles. I love floppies. They're fun to have. I like to actually go through my long boxes and look through them from time to time, just looking at the covers and maybe reread some of them. It's fun. But graphic novels, it's just you're getting more time of entertainment for what you're paying. So for me, that's been historically what I do. The problem is you can go to Amazon. If you're looking at $8 for an issue, you can go to Amazon and get a trade paperback that's going to have a lot more. I don't know. I'd have to look how many pages. It depends on what you're buying, but you're going to have more pages for even less value. So if that's really the route you want to go down, it's not that's not the justification I would use personally. They really need to do something to bring the prices down. So this is hard. The nice thing about comics fans is I do feel like they are forgiving in that, I mean, comics fans are, at least to a small degree, they are collectors. People like collecting comics. I know I do. It's fun. It's fun to collect them. And so if you've got the collector mindset, you might be willing to pay a little bit more for something that's going to feel unique or special or limited or something like that. The problem is we're not talking about that. We're talking about a basic, floppy single issue that you could be getting, and it could be, worthless next week. And so there's not much collectability from it. So I also don't see it, I guess, hitting those fans if that's really why you're so eager to spend $8 for one issue. So Kelly Thompson responds, "It's not a weekly book, and it will be regularly priced regularly sized going forward. I know it's a steep buy-in, but I understand it's too much to if it's too much to handle. But you asked for a justification, and there it is. You're paying for more pages, and you're paying at a reduced per page price. How often does that book come out? It's not. Wait, they said not weekly. There's not really that many weekly books, are there? I mean, for a monthly book, paying $8, it's just a lot. I mean, especially if you want to read other titles, it's just a big buy-in. It's a big commitment for a regular comic series that you want to read. She continues, I'm sorry you're frustrated, but it's also probably worth noting that we, creators, are in no way responsible / in charge for how long books are or what the price is. Okay, yeah, exactly. So this brings me back to my first point. Kelly Thompson should not be the representative for Marvel that is answering this question. And it looks like she's realized that by now. Here she's realized it. That she should not be the one doing it. Some of the public relations efforts that Marvel is putting into, denigrating their fans, they could put into talking to their fans and helping to, help people to understand what the price range is for. Maybe they need to change the way that they're branding their product, something like that. I haven't seen them do anything like that, though. They don't seem to care. So here Kelly Thompson is trying to do some damage control, and it just comes across as flat, especially when even Bleeding Cool is writing an article on it and being critical of it. So I don't know. This is a tough topic, pricing in comics, because there's no quick fix for the industry. I know, I'm thinking right now about pricing. How many pages am I going to do? What's the price going to be? My pricing is going to be totally different than Marvel's pricing because they can afford to buy so much. So the question is, really, when I look at that $8 price, it's not all that different. Why can't they make it cheaper? What can they do to make it cheaper? So thanks. If you enjoyed this content, leave me a like, and please do subscribe, especially if you've been watching a lot of my videos. I could use you. Come on, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.